Why can't I do like Frankenstein? I miss him. I wish he was here, Madeline said, crying into her pillow. Her older sister Amelia tried consoling her, but to no avail. Madeline missed her boyfriend Jonathan, who had lost his life in an accident. He had been out on a boat with some friends when they spotted a porpoise who had gotten tangled in a net. Jonathan had jumped into the water and swam toward the porpoise to set it free. Amelia remembered when Jonathan's friends had told about the 2 jellyfish that came drifting toward Jonathan just as he had freed the porpoise and was swimming back. They had gotten stuck against Jonathan's neck and chest and badly stung him. Unfortunately, Jonathan was allergic to jellyfish and had a severe allergic reaction. When his friends got him in the boat, he wasn't breathing anymore. The EpiPen they pressed against his thigh wasn't working, so one of his friends provided artificial respiration while they drove back toward shore like crazy and calling emergency services on the way. Madeline had gotten to the hospital in time to say goodbye before Jonathan passed away due to complications from his allergic reaction. I'm sure he died happy. He saved the porpoise from dying in that net, and he was happy to have you as his girlfriend. Amelia tried consoling, but Madeline only cried harder and screamed, I wish I was dead and could be with Jonathan now. Amelia understood that it would be a while before Madeline calmed down, and so sat down on the bed to read a book whilst holding Madeline close. It was one of Madeline's favourite books, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Monsters, mystic romance and pretty dresses, Madeline used to say when describing the book to Amelia, despite them both having read the book numerous times. Suddenly, Madeline sat bolt upright and stared at the book. Of course, I can do like Frankenstein, she shouted, grabbing the book with both hands. What can you do like Frankenstein? Amelia asked, taken aback by the sudden change. Madeline leafed hurriedly through the book until she reached the pages where Frankenstein dug up corpses and put together a new human. I can put Jonathan back together, if nothing else, so just to feel his arms around me again, Madeline happily said, dancing around the room with her sister. Stop! Where'd you get that idea? How can you put Jonathan back together when he was cremated? Amelia said, stopping Madeline to look her in the eyes. Madeline's smile faltered and tears started streaming down her face again. If Frankenstein could put back together, I surely can, she said thinly, looking pleadingly at her sister. Amelia sighed and nodded. He really could put back together, but it was against nature. He thought he created a new human, new life from death, but he created a monster. Yes, a monster that could feel love and emotions, but still a monster, she said, putting her arms around her younger sister. But I miss him so much, Madeline complained. Nature's course is nothing humans can do anything about. I'm sorry, Madeline, but it would be against all of nature's laws, Amelia said softly but strictly. Madeline nodded and sighed heavily, but in her mind ideas were already spinning around on how she could get it to work. Unbeknownst to Amelia or anyone else, Madeline began experimenting on how she could put Jonathan back together. She tried small plants at first, tried to get an ivy plant to grow with a little rose without the ivy strangling the rose. It didn't work, as she saw how the rose was quickly strangled by the ivy, which was growing and thriving. Madeline tried reviving the rose, but failed. She then started looking at dead insects. She tried putting the head of an ant on the body of a hornet and gave it a small electric shock to see if it would wake. Madeline had to restrain herself to not shout for joy when the insect got up on quivering legs. Though just as it had gotten up, a tremor went through the body and it fell over, losing its head. No, Madeline moaned, beginning to cry. Though she didn't cry for long. Madeline wasn't one to give up so easily and decided to create a new creature. She took the legs of a beetle and put them on the body of a spider. Then she took the head of a grasshopper before finally attaching the wings of a lemon butterfly. It wasn't a pretty creature, but Madeline was confident it would work. She made sure everything was properly stitched in place. It hadn't been easy sewing on the butterfly wings because they were so fragile, but Madeline had infinitely gentle hands. I will will succeed in doing this, Madeline said out loud to herself, standing at the workbench in the old shed behind their house. Amelia, who was out in the garden with a watering can, heard Madeline. What is she doing in there? Amelia asked herself, walking toward the shed. Peeking in through the window, she saw her younger sister with a small cable from a battery, moving it toward something on the workbench. Amelia felt her heart jump and flung the door open. What are you doing? She asked Madeline, who jumped and dropped the cable. Amelia spotted the creature lying on the workbench. It looked awful. What is that? She asked, staring at her sister. Madeline started crying and managed to sob. I just wanted to prove I could put together something dead and make it come alive. She then turned toward the creature and put the tip of the cable against its chest. A small electric shock went from the battery and through the body. Amelia stared in disbelief at the creature as the wings jerked and it got up on the stitched-on legs. It worked, Madeline whispered, pulling her sister closer. It doesn't look all that well, Amelia said, pointing at the creature. Madeline turned around and saw the creature walking along the tabletop, but when it got to a drop of water, a tremor went through the body and it turned toward Madeline and Amelia. For a moment, it looked as if it was staring at Madeline, but then it fell over on its back, crushed the wings, and was dead. No, it worked for so long, Madeline said loudly, hurrying over to the creature. She picked up the monstrosity but threw it away in disgust when a slight jerk went through the body. Madeline fell to her knees and started crying again. She looked at her sister with red, swollen eyes and said, choked up, Why can't I do like Frankenstein? Amelia quickly came over and embraced her younger sister. Quietly, they rocked back and forth whilst Madeline's sore voice drifted out through the open door, vanishing in the blood-red rays of the setting sun. Why can't I do like Frankenstein?